How's it going, everyone? It is Drago. We're back with another chapter of Fairy Tale 100 Year Quest, chapter 127, Code of the Coal Miner Guild. The cover page for this chapter has Erza and Jellal on it, watching some kids run by them that look eerily similar to Erza and Jellal. I think this cover is very cute, and if you know Eden Zero stuff, I'm getting a very familiar vibe from that. Otherwise, very fitting to have a cover with the two, especially with what happened last chapter. And you dang well know they put the kids looking similar to Erza and Jellal to get the fan base going crazy. Picking up with the actual chapter, we have Natsu going up against the Coal Miner Guild. You get Iwashita talking with Natsu, saying that wizards are nothing but little twigs, and that he could send them flying with just a sneeze. Which the things that he says gets Natsu's imagination really running wild, thinking of Elfman, Loxus, and Droy in really kind of like buffed out states. Which this is like the most calm and level-headed Natsu I think has ever been in a fight. Because he asks them, like, how do you know about my guild? And this Coal Miner Guild is like really doing the Fight Club rules. Their reasoning behind it is the Coal Miner Guild Code, which they start to lay out all the rules of the Coal Miner Guild Code, with rule number 1 being look up, down, left, and right for safety. Rule number 2 being don't forget to check your tools. Rule number 3 being dig like you mean it. Rule number 4 being get rid of anything in your way, and they proceed to attack Natsu. Which you gotta give it to them, they're causing quite a bit of destruction, and Natsu's just casually dodging everything. And while he's getting attacked, Natsu's thinking, did I say something? And Iwashita is just hyping himself up, saying he's getting warmer, he's getting all warmed up. And he starts to explain his weapon, that it is a alchemy forged pickaxe, and that it's a heat pickaxe. This might be my favorite part of this whole chapter, and potentially being the only time that Natsu's trying to reflect on something during a fight, because Natsu just is thinking in his head like, oh my goodness, Lucy told me about this, that, maybe I should try and read the room a little bit. Did I potentially do something to piss this guy off? Like, why is he so mad at me? Lucy's had this conversation with Natsu many a times if he has to think about it now, when he's in this fight. Which either way for Natsu, he's like, well, I'm sorry if I did something to piss you off without knowing it, but you started this fight, and since you started it, I have to end it. Iwashita is trying to be the off-brand Natsu by saying he's all warmed up now, which Natsu takes that personally. Because he's like, did you mean all fired up now? Which Iwashita is just going to go strike Natsu, which his henchman in the background saying hey, don't kill him. We're supposed to bring him back to headquarters. Which he strikes Natsu with his heat pickaxe, and that does absolutely nothing. Which I have missed this so much to where people hit Natsu with an item and it just starts to melt on him, and they're freaking out oh crap, we weren't expecting this. Which his pickaxe caused a allergic reaction within Natsu, because he's oh crap, I have to sneeze now. And Natsu sneezes and he just obliterates everything in his path. He literally sets off a nuclear explosion and everyone in the vicinity is dead. So we go over to Erza and Jellal after they've been captured by this photographer guy, and they're having difficulties in this small space that they're cramped into, which it doesn't help that Erza's wearing a full suit of armor, and that's just smashing Jellal's face. And this gets them to question the idea of Erza could possibly re-equip in this small space to have her be able to change her outfit, so Jellal doesn't have to get squished by Erza's armor plating. Surprisingly enough, Erza is actually able to re-equip, which she doesn't do it fully, and she's just straight up naked in there with Jellal. So Erza's just straight up naked with Jellal right up next to her, and he's like, please put on some clothes, Erza. And Urza's like, oh crap, I wasn't thinking. Yeah, I'll do that. This should be better. And she puts on her clear heart clothing outfit, and she's very satisfied by that outfit. She's got a nice smile on her face, which this gets them to realize, oh hey, I can actually use my magic in here, and we could potentially use this to escape. To me, this is giving me heavy Tower of Heaven vibes to our show had that card magic that you could trap people in. Wouldn't shock me if her and Jellal are able to break out in a similar way like how she did in the past. So we go over to Gray and Wendy, and they're getting stalked by Sai. And he just straight up runs up on them and he's like, I'm not going to make the same mistake as I did last time. And he does an alchemy spell called Material Bond, which it causes Gray, Wendy, and Carla to turn into jewels. The most interesting part about this is they're still able to talk in gem form, but then their bodies also swapped with the gems that he swapped them with, so they're just sitting in a gem store lifeless, which he takes all 3 of them and he says, I'm going to bring you back to HQ and I'll transform you later, which he's feeling pretty full of himself, even though Gray beat him pretty badly the last time, saying that this is easier than he thought and wondering how everyone else is doing and capturing everyone. Which we cut over to Lucy and Happy and their fight, and you don't even get to see their fight at all, with whoever they were fighting using a poisonous gas of some sort. And once the gas clears, you see Happy and Lucy knocked out and tied up, with the person that captured them wearing a gas mask. So we cut back over to Natsu, and he's also with Sabretooth, and Natsu just straight up blaming everyone. He's like, I can't believe everyone got lost and now they're all late. I like that Sting doesn't see anything as wrong, and he's like, wow, Natsu's like the only one responsible with time here. And even Lecter joins in like, yeah, Erza is supposed to be the punctual one, which Sting is pretty much the first one with common sense here, because he's like, it's a little weird that none of them came back. Which Yukino wanted to go immediately look for all of them. Minerva wants to wait on it a bit because she's like, hey, Natsu, you were like attacked by a guild, weren't you? He's like, yeah, I burned them all up. So they're starting to put it all together like, hey, before you were attacked, they confirmed that you were from Fairy Tale, right? And they were using weapons forged out of alchemy, which Minerva points out things about the city, with there being a lot of mines in town and a lot of jewel shops and pharmacies, all materials that can be used for alchemy, which I pretty much thought this as well, because she thinks that this town has a deep connection to Gold Owl, which I thought the town is probably a sub-guild under them. And Minerva comes to the same conclusion, that the entire city has probably been watching Fairy Tale from the start under the orders of Gold Owl. Their reasons for it, who knows? Which Natsu was at least lucky enough to be able to fight off all of his opponents, while everyone else was not so lucky. Which they immediately think that they're all dead, like they just got murdered in the street. I will agree with Minerva on this, because she says our enemies are alchemists, and you know what they can do, we have no idea, because we have such a little comprehension of the abilities that they can use. Similar to kind of like when we had curses introduced, like no one knew what the full limit of that was. The alchemy that's been introduced so far, I can see it being pretty darn difficult to fight these people, because the abilities are ranging pretty darn wildly, and it's causing pretty wild effects to happen to people, which is everyone else in Sabretooth trying to figure out the reason as to why Gold Owl would order a hit on Fairy Tale. That's when Natsu remembers that one background character saying that, hey, don't kill him, we're supposed to bring him back to the guild. And he's like, oh crap, they actually didn't kill my friends. They captured them because they were going to bring them back to somewhere. And Natsu's going to waste absolutely no time going to find his friends. He starts running to go save them. Sting and Rogue stop Natsu saying, hey, you're the only one in Fairy Tale left. You want to let Sabretooth lend you a hand? Which I love that Natsu takes this the wrong way and like thinking that they're inviting him to join the Sabretooth guild, and he's like, I don't want to join your stupid guild. And they're like, no, we weren't even going to let you in anyway. And that is the end of our chapter. So my thoughts. I absolutely loved Natsu's fight against the coal miner guild. I love that they were like hyping themselves up to be this strong opponent, and they just like could not do anything to Natsu, and their weapons just melted against him, and he defeated them with a sneeze. That kind of fight with Natsu, I really miss those, to where Natsu just has such an overwhelming advantage over these guys. Within that fight as well, I love that he had to reflect on what Lucy was telling him. I like that he actually was like thinking a bit here and like, did I piss these guys off? Like, did I do something? The fact that in that situation, he had to immediately think like, okay, what did Lucy tell me to get me out of this situation? Kind of interesting team up that you get Natsu with Sabretooth, kind of reminiscent of the end of the Tartaros arc to where he's teamed up with Sting and Rogue there. I already know people are going to go crazy over Erza and Jellal together with the whole requip situation in the box. I mainly just like when Erza fully finishes her requip, just the little smile that she makes. Little bummed out that you didn't even get to see like Lucy try and fight back against her captor. I feel like Lucy would get some kind of revenge on her in some way because like you gassed her, like she's gonna get revenge on you. Otherwise, what do you guys think of the chapter? Leave it in the comments below. I am still currently making the Wendy video. It just takes literally forever to try and go through like hour plus long like voice clips that I recorded for that video and then also edit it, and it's probably going to be at least probably like 30 plus minutes long, and I just have a lot of other things going on in my personal life right now. Thank you for watching, and this is Drago signing out.